Okay, this is going to be a guide for patch 7.2.5 of Holy Priest. Enough things have changed that I felt like it justified a new guide. I didn't feel comfortable linking the old one to people, so we're going to be going through pretty much everything that I said in the last guide, plus all the changes and all the new talents you pick, and the new path you take in your artifact. Plus, I'm going to mention a couple other things like how to beat Holy Priest and stuff, because a lot of people struggle with that. So basically, we're going to go through changes first. I'm going to do races, and then talents, then artifact traits, then macros, then add-ons, and then we're going to go into healing in general / being trained, and then how to deal with interrupts. Then we're going to do a section on how to beat Holy Priests, and then we're going to do comps, and maybe I'll ramble at the end for a little bit. Not sure. Alright, so the main changes were they buffed our intellect a couple times by 5%, 2%, and then 10% or something. So obviously really good for us. And they nerfed Ray of Hope by 50%. I don't know if it's in the game yet. I literally can't tell. Because it feels like it just heals as much as it used to, but it might be. It might just be enough that our intellect buffs makes it feel like it was the old one, but who knows. They nerfed Greater Fade by 2 seconds, so that's Greater Fade. So immune to damage and CC and slows and stuff. And then Ray of Hope, if you want to read that. And they buffed Renew by 100%. That's probably the biggest change. Buffing Renew by 100% because it made the Renew spec much more viable, which I'll get into when we do the talent section. They nerfed our Mastery and buffed our Haste, so that's a nerf to our single target Greater Heal spec, and that's a buff to the Palm spec, the Paramending spec. So it's not the biggest deal, but they nerfed our Mastery, buffed our Haste. So, and then they changed Divine Attendant, which you don't take anyway, but the tooltip is bugged right now. It actually reduces the cooldown by 2 minutes and 30 seconds, not 2 minutes. So it makes Guardian a 90-second cooldown, not a 2-minute cooldown. But still not better than Ray of Hope, don't worry about it. And then they changed Spirited Redeemer from a 5-minute cooldown 10-second duration to a 3-minute cooldown 7-second duration, which still doesn't make it competitive at all with Ray of Hope. So both those changes were relevant. Alright, so we're going to go right into races though. I'll try to mention things as we go along. I wrote down a lot of notes, but things might just come to me and I might just mention them before I forget about them. So we're just going to go through all the races, just in case people are curious if their race is good already for PvP or not. So Human obviously is the best for Alliance. The extra stats and getting out of stuns is obviously crazy. Stuns are just the biggest deal of this expansion, and this patch hasn't changed that at all. So Human, really, really good. Probably the best race in general for priests right now. Dwarf doesn't really have a place right now. There's no ferals really. There's no assassination rogues really, and the silence is it doesn't do anything right now. And Human is just obviously so much better. Silences used to be more of a thing, but now there's so few of them that it doesn't really make a difference. Night Elf is probably my second favorite for Alliance, but that's just because I like Shadow Meld a lot. I'm really comfortable with it since I used to play Druid. And the crit chance and the haste, depending on what time of day is, both the stats are really good for Holy Priest. Then Gnome, I think Gnome is moved up the tier list of races just because of Boomkins right now. So Boomkins, a really common thing for them to do is just root beam you, which is pretty powerful because it's all instant CC. But if you're Gnome, you can just escape artist out of that. And also, if you're a Gnome, you can escape artist then Greater Fade, and to immune any slows that they try to reapply on you. So escape artist, Greater Fade plus a angelic feather, and you'll like move like as fast as like someone mounted, and no one can slow you. So that's something good for when you're being trained. Drain Eye is also really good. Holy Priest has really good synergy with Gift of the Naru because you can increase your own health pool, and Gift of the Naru heals based on your health pool on other people. So you can Desperate Prayer. Even if you're not taking damage, you can Desperate Prayer, and then Gift of the Naru someone else, and your gift will heal for more than it would if you didn't Desperate Prayer. Same thing with Greater Heal. You can Greater Heal yourself, then Desperate Prayer, and then Gift of the Naru someone, and it'll hit for a lot. And the base intellect is really good for Holy Priest too. Worgen is okay, just because the crit chance is fine, and the movement is fine for like RPGs, I guess, but obviously not recommended. Pandaren doesn't really have a place as priest, I feel like. Undead is probably your best bet for Horde. You can get out of Wyverns, Priest Fear, Warlock Fear, Warrior Fear, Seduction from Warlock Pets, all that. So that's really powerful for Horde. Tarn doesn't really have a place as priest. Most of the time as Holy Priest, you're not going to be playing like right up on top of people for War Stomps. You're going to be playing 40 yards away, trying to avoid CC. So, plus you have your own stun, right? So Tarn doesn't really have very much synergy with Holy Priest. Troll is pretty good. Berserk is like a really powerful cooldown for you because haste is really important for resetting your Serenity. Plus, it has nice synergy with Apotheosis since it's the same cooldown. So you can Apotheosis and Berserk and get a lot of healing out really quickly. Blood Elf is probably not as good as people think for Holy Priest at least, just because it's the same concept as Tarn. Like you're not going to be right on top of people for Arcane Torrents. You're going to be 40 yards away if you're playing correctly. So you're not really going to get much value out of your Silence, and you don't have a problem with mana, so the restoring the mana thing is irrelevant as well. Goblins, okay. The haste increase is nice, and Goblin Jump is okay since you have no mobility as Holy Priest anyway. And Pandaren. Okay. Next we're gonna do talents. So a couple things have changed. There's two main builds, I would say, that you play as a Holy Priest or not, depending on what comp you're playing. I'll go into each build. So first I will go through all the talents. Trail of Light is your pretty like obvious pick for this tier. It's just extra healing every time you flash a heal, so it's better than the other ones because the other two feel irrelevant in most cases. So Enduring Renewal is good against like things that you know are only going to hit one target. So maybe like a Mage Warrior, or I've seen like Feral Demon Hunter that I would want to play it against because they only hit one target and they try to CC you with like May min caps. I see a lot of priests taking Enlightenment. I think I disagree with that. I had never lost a game to mana problems in Legion. Like literally, I've played like thousands of games of Holy Priest, never lost a game into mana problems. Like maybe if you struggle with mana for some reason, then you can take it, sure. But I just feel like I lose to dampening more than I lose to me running So that means more output with Trail of Light is better in my opinion than Enlightenment. But if you're playing like a certain comp where your whole goal is just to hide behind a pillar the entire game and literally just not do anything and just spam out heals the entire game, then you can play Enlightenment, sure. But in my opinion, Trail of Light is always going to be better. Next tier, pretty straightforward. Angelic Feather is 90% of the time going to be your best pick. Just the extra mobility, since you have none, is really nice, and the ability to like put it on other people or put it on a pillar before you go there or something, and just have it ready, and just run around. It is really powerful. Body and Mind doesn't really have a place. The heal is so small that it's irrelevant, and Feather just basically does the same thing, but there's more versatility with Feather. Perseverance is okay if you're being trained, or if you feel like you don't need the Angelic Feather at all. So if you think a team can even like slightly hit you, I would say, and you're not comfortable with it, I would say just play Perseverance. It's totally fine if you don't play Feather, in like a lot of cases, just Perseverance to be safe, and it's fine against like Warlock teams where you feel like you don't have to move very much, so you can just reduce the. Most of the time you're going to be playing Vim, so Perseverance to keep yourself in Vim range just a little bit is helpful. Next tier, I've been playing Shining Force a lot more this patch than I did last. Mostly in comps like TSG or like Windwalker Enhance, things like that. And then I would play Shining Force for an Incap because the stuns are kind of overkill in a lot of cases. The knock you can use for, obviously if 2 melees are on you, you can knock them off you, or knock them off like a bridge or off of Dalaran, something like that. So I'll take it in cases where I know two melee are going to train me as well, and it's a good mount for it. But also you can knock people out of Earthen Shield or Spirit Link Totem, things like that. So that's really powerful against Arshoms. But most of the time, you're going to be playing Censure. This is a really powerful ability for Holy Priest. It can't be bopped by Holy Pallies. It can't be dispelled. It's going to sit the 5 seconds guaranteed. So unless they trinket it, so it's super powerful. Like just the ability to use it from range is something that like no other healer has right now. Like a range stun makes it really powerful for a lot of comps. And then Afterlife doesn't have a place in Arena, obviously, but in RBGs, I'd say like it's okay. In places where you can't, like Sentry doesn't really do anything and Shining Force doesn't do anything, like maybe Gilneas, and you could play like Afterlife. I don't know if you're really trying to pad. Light of the Naro is your baseline pick for the next tier. The other two are kind of irrelevant unless unless you're facing a comp where you feel like you can't really cast against. So maybe like a Mage Rogue Druid, but our Druid isn't really a thing right now, so there's not really a place for Guardian Angel, I feel like. Symbol of Hope is, I feel like that it's okay in RBGs, only if you're playing with like double Mistweaver or a Mistweaver Argent or something like that. The healers that you're playing with have to be able to dump mana really fast. So since you're a Holy Priest, you don't really have that ability, so it doesn't really do much for you. But if you can give it to your 2 other healers that do really well with 12-second innervates, then you can go ahead and play Symbol of Hope. This next tier is pretty straightforward. Most games you're just going to be taking Surge of Light. I see a lot of people playing Piety, and in my opinion, it's just overkill. Even when you're playing the Palm spec, you don't need it. Like, you need the single target healing more than you need the AoE. Like, you're already so powerful AoE healing that, you fall behind single target, you don't fall behind an AoE. So Surge of Light is going to pick you back up that way. So I would really only ever play Piety in cases where I know that they're only going to be playing the rock game. So that's barely ever going to happen though. Like no comps, I feel like, try to rot down a Holy Priest anywhere. Your Piety just doesn't do it. Like the good teams, I feel like will either be hitting you like consistently or CCing you consistently. So Piety doesn't help you in either of those cases. You need the single target healing from Surge of Light. And then obviously Binding Heal doesn't do anything, so ignore Binding Heal. Next tier, you're always going to be Divinity. The extra healing for free is just really nice. The passive abilities are just better than the unused in so many cases. Divine Star doesn't... it's not worth the global. And then Halo, it's a cast that doesn't reset any of your Serenities, so... or any of your Holy Words, I mean, so it doesn't do anything really. Divinity is always going to be your pick. Next tier, this has changed a little bit. Apotheosis was usually always going to be your pick last patch, but now if you're playing the Palm spec, Benediction is going to be your pick. So that means whenever your prior mending bounces and it leaves someone, it has a 40% chance to leave Renew on them. So that's really good because it's obviously free healing, and your palm increases or is increasing healing because of Holy Mending whenever your Renew is on a target. So you get this for free pretty much without having to ever press Renew. And it leaves you open to cast more healing instead of casting Renews or refreshing Renews on people. But other than that, if you're not playing the palm spec, or you feel like you're going to play like a bit of a hybrid sometimes, say like versus a Windwalker DK or something, where you need the where rapid mending is going to be better than greater heal, but you need the instant, or you need the single target healing more than you need the AoE, then Apotheosis can be really good for you. So basically what Apotheosis does is increases the effect of your Serendipity, which it has really good synergy with Light of the Nire because it increases it by 2 additional seconds. So you're Serendipity to reset your Holy Word Serenity mostly. So Flashio. So it takes me like a lot of Flashio casts normally to reset my Serenity, but when I have Apotheosis up, it only takes 3 casts to reset it, and it has really good synergy with Smiting and Holy War Chastise as well, because you can chastise someone and then smite 3 times into them while you have Apotheosis up, and then you can resend them for another 2.5 seconds. So before their stun ends, so you can stun into restun, which is something like really, really powerful for when you're playing double caster comps, or if you're killing someone behind a pillar, something like that. So if you're playing Apotheosis, look for opportunities to go offensive with it. Like, it's a really powerful offensive cooldown, and not a lot of people realize that. Other than that, though, it also reduces your the mana cost of your Holy Word spells, and you can obviously get a lot of your Holy Word spells out very quickly, and that has really good synergy with Divinity, because you're increasing your healing by 15%. So you can Apotheosis, and then Holy Word Serenity normally costs a lot of mana, right? So 44k mana is like no small amount. Like, this is why Holy Priests like don't go when you're playing the spec. So basically every 3 minutes your mana just goes up instead of going down, because all your healing is free. So that's really powerful. And then Circle of Healing doesn't really have a place. So next, so for the first tier here, most of the time it's Undead. I'm taking Gladiator's Medallion. But if I was human, most of the time I'd say I'd be picking Adept instead. But against teams that have like a Fear and a Poly, so like a MLS or like a ML Holy Priest or something like that, I'll feel pretty safe playing Adaptation, because I'll get guaranteed value out of my Will of Forsaken, right? So I can Adapt and then Will of Forsaken out of something. But other than that, you're mostly going to be play Trinket as specs that aren't or as races that aren't human. Also, as human, just to mention this, if it's not obvious to people, if you're going to be playing against like rogues that you can't get in combat against, or Hex Totem from Arshams, don't take Adept because it's going to proc for free, and you're a little bit vulnerable to like Hex Totem as a Holy Priest, because it takes off your Holy Word for free and does the Hex on you. So just a little bit of an overlap there could kind of ruin the game for you. So don't take Adept if you think they're going to take Hex Totem, or if you know they're going to take Hex Totem if you've been facing them for a while. Next tier, Defender is pretty good in like a lot of matchups, but I would only really take it if I thought teams were going to be hitting me for any significant amount of time to knock out my Vim. So like a Warrior Boomkin that is mostly just hitting me, I'll play Defender instead of Vim. Or like a Windwalker DK that I think will be constantly swapping to me, I can play Defender against. But or just training me, I'll play Defender. So most of the time though, you're going to be playing Vim and Vigor. It's has really good synergy with your Mastery, since it increases your direct healing, and and your mastery is based on your direct healing, your mastery gets really big effect out of Vim and Vigor, so always look for situations where you can play Vim. Even against Warlocks, I play Vim just because I feel really, really comfortable, even if it's like Warlock Demon Hunter, you know, where they can, you know, potentially be hitting me a lot. I'll just play Vim just because I feel like it's way more comfortable when you're just behind a pillar with a Demon Hunter hitting you, and your palm is just bouncing in between the pillars on your DPS while the Warlock tries to rot those guys down. And the Demon Hunter is only hitting you, and you can just sit there, you know, bait his kick with MC and then start free casting heals on yourself. Inner focus is oh yeah, and if they're not training you, obviously your palm is going to be bouncing back and forth, right? So it's really easy to keep yourself in Vim and Vigor range, especially with like Desert Prayer. We'll get more into Desert Prayer though later. So then Inner Focus. I almost never play Inner Focus. I see a lot of priests playing it, and it's just like it feels like a complete waste to me. Just you don't really need the Aura Mastery effect since you have another school to cast on with MC. So if you're struggling with interrupts, I would say it's okay to play. Like, it's definitely fine in some matchups. I would play it if I was going to be trained by 2 melee that I know I can't live against. So a Warrior Demon Hunter training me, I know I can't live with Defender or Vim, so I'll play Inner Focus. Or a TSG training me, I know I can't live for very long, so Inner Focus is good. So that's pretty much it, though. In most other cases, Vim or Defender are going to be better. Like, even against like mage teams, Vim is going to just be better. Next tier, Holy Ward is always going to be your pick. These other two don't really do anything. And the double dispel is nice, but Holy Ward is just too important to not have. Really common question is, should I be using it on cooldown or should I be, you know, saving it for a specific CC? The answer is both. You should be using it on cooldown from the start of the game until you think until it's off cooldown and you're about to be CC'd by like a priest fear. Like, if a priest is running into you and obviously he wants to fear you, don't Holy Ward until he gets right next to you, you know, to try and eat the spear for free. Otherwise, he's just gonna dispel and then fear you, you know, and there's no point in doing that. Like, try to use it like Fear Ward in past expansions. So, obviously it doesn't work on silences or roots, so it only works on full loss of control effects where you can't control your character. And for some reason, I don't know why it works like this, but infernal stuns from Warlocks, like the big infernal that they drop down on you, it'll take off your Holy Ward and stun you. So that's an annoying bug, but us Holy Priests have been used to like 9,000 bugs this expansion, so what's one more? Next up is Greater Fade. This is your really important ability for you. It's your immunity to CC, it's immunity to damage, it's immune to, you know, slowing, charge effects, things like that. So obviously you're going to be using it to avoid CC mostly. If you're getting trained, you're going to be rotating it with Holy Ward. You're going to be rotating it with Holy Ward, Ray of Hope, Guardian, even Desert Prayer. You're going to be using it just so you can stay alive. You know, Light of Ruse. But so it says most abilities will miss you, but there are a couple that don't go through. Here's what I have discovered. So normally it makes you immune to the UA dispel, like damage and silence. So you can dispel UA for free when you have Greater Fade up. But if you're playing with an Applock and he gets his own UAs reflected onto himself, like from another Warlock, the UAs from him on himself, if you try to Greater Fade dispel those, they'll still silence and damage you. I don't know why. That's just how the game is. It's so weird. But then Garrote silence goes through it, but not the Garrote bleed. So the Garrote silence will go through, but not the bleed. Bursting shot from Hunters, which is a pretty big one. So don't really try to pre-Greater Fade bursting shot. Like, even if you know it's coming, like, be ready, and don't try and waste it if you don't see them. Don't don't waste your Greater Fade trying to eat trap if they're just gonna bursting shot you on it, right? So make sure that you know they're gonna trap if you're gonna Greater Fade, and other than that, try to save it against hunters. Also, high explosive trap, which is only really an RBG thing, but high explosive trap from hunters to the knockback that they have goes through Greater Fade. Sundering from in-hand shamans, the little knockback that they have, the like spike that they put on the ground, that goes through Greater Fade. For some reason during Greater Fade, you're not normally immune to interrupts, but you're immune to the Survival Hunter interrupt. So, I don't know why, ask Blizzard. And you're immune to Purges, you're immune to Death Grip, you're immune to Warrior Charge, Roots, all that stuff. So, don't be afraid to use it when you're running away, just to like immune someone's ability and then continue to get away. So like a charge or a death grip. So next tier, actually, I'll mention Holy Concentration. Holy Concentration has a place, I think, when Afflocks are really popular. So since Afflocks have like double CS, and if you're facing like a Demon Hunter and a Arsham on top of that, there's so many kicks. You know, like good teams will know that you have to interrupt the Holy Priest in order to win the game. So they're going to be kicking you a lot. And in those cases, I felt like Greater Fade wasn't really doing anything for me, so Holy Concentration was a good pick there. It also reduces the UA silence on you. When you dispel UA, the silence that you normally get is 4 seconds, but it gets reduced by 70% when you're Holy Concentration. And then, I guess I'll mention Delivered from Evil. I think it has a place somewhere. I mean, it would be pretty freaking annoying for people if you were Shining Force and a 45-second life grip that removes slows off people. So just I'd say look for opportunities to play this, but I haven't really found one yet. Miracle Worker, I don't feel like it has a place. It's okay. Like Double Serenity is sometimes nice, but you're only really gonna get value like once or twice out of it per game, because you start with 2 Serenities, right? So you start with 2 Serenities, and you Serenity once, and then you Serenity again, and then suddenly you're at 0 Serenities, right? So, and then you're building your way back up to 1, and then once you get 1, you'll probably have to use it, right? So, you very rarely ever get value out of it. I'd say it's pretty good synergy with Apotheosis, but it's just not as good as Rapid Mending in so many cases. Like, if you feel like you can't cast and need Miracle Worker to live, Rapid Mending is probably going to be better for you. I would say just get comfortable not using this if you've been using it for a while, because it's going to be way more advantageous for you to be playing the other 2. So Rapid Mending is what makes your Palm spec viable. So your Palm spec is going to be like Rapid Mending, then Benediction. So you're leaving renews, like I said, on people. So the synergy is really good there. Plus, I'll get into this later, but the jump range is really important. So normally it only jumps 20 yards. So that's not very far. You know, when you're playing with 2 melee, like most likely you're going to be at a pillar and they're going to be in the middle. So your palm isn't going to be bouncing between. It isn't going to be bouncing to you. So if there are 2 melee on you or something, or if there's a melee on you, right, and your other 2 are getting rotted down. If you're palming yourself, it's not going to be bouncing to your melee, right? So that's bad. So when you're playing Rapid Mending, you know, it obviously is going to be bounced all the way over because it's a 40-yard range. Also, it's really good synergy with our artifact, our golden trait here, Renew the Faith. Normally, your Divine Hymn, right? It moves it moves your palm around to people in a 20-yard range. But when you're playing Rapid Mending, it moves at a 40-yard range, so you can Divine Hymn from a farther way back and have it bounce. So we'll get more into Divine Hymn though later. So next is Greater Heal. Greater Heal is still viable, although it's not taken as often as it used to be. So Greater Heal is still really good when you're playing double caster. Even against Warlocks and stuff, it's super mana efficient. Like, it still only costs like not even 19k mana to cast a heal, and it heals for 1.2 million. It heals for a very large amount for how much mana you're using on it. So, and obviously the health increase is nice. I mentioned this in my last video, but it worked kind of like Feral Ferocious Bite. If you're familiar with that, this expansion, it reduces their HP pool by 25%, but it also it's scary that because it like chunks it down, right? So it chunks it down by 25%. It also does the same when you greater heal. It chunks it up by 20%. So it's really, really powerful. And obviously the cast time reduce is really, really nice. You can play it against like Cleaves. If you're playing with a Cleave mirror, greater heal is still really good because your palms don't really do much healing and need more throughput, you know. So greater heal is going to be a nice pick in like Cleave mirrors, where you know they're going to be hitting your DPS and you need to free cast healing into them. So next tier, I already mentioned these two. They don't really have a place anywhere when Ray of Hope is an option. So Ray of Hope, the best way I can describe it is a tug of war of healing and damage. So you pause so much HP for 6 seconds, and then people do a bunch of healing into it, and then the enemy team does a ton of damage into it, right? At the end of the duration, the healing is increased by 50%. It might be 100% still. I'm not sure if it's bugged or not, but it does a lot of healing, right? So you want to save up a lot of healing. So that means potentially use a Letter True. Do the math in your head if you need to spend like a Letter True and get your Divinity procced and then Ray of Hope. Like do the math in your head if you need to do that in order to top someone. But you just want to make sure that you're getting value out of your Ray of Hope. So like make sure that you have instant healing and that you're doing the math for how much damage that they're taking and how much healing you need to do to top someone off using Ray of Hope. A lot of teams, since Demon Hunters are so good right now and Boomkins are so good right now, a lot of teams are able to CC your Ray, you know, using like immunities. So in-cap from Demon Hunters or clone from Boomkins are going to stop your Ray. And if you've already used healing into your Ray, that's going to mean that you just wasted all your healing and Ray of Hope. So against things like Boomkin, I'm always ready to pre-MD Cyclone some people. So if I see a Boomkin casting Cyclone and I just Ray of Hoped, I'm always ready to just cast MD and just get it off instantly, right? Just so I get value out of my Ray of Hope. Against Demon Hunters, you're going to have to play a little different because you can't MD their in-cap. You either need to, you know, MC the Demon Hunter during it after you use your healing, or you need to, you know, communicate with your DPS that they need to avoid the in-cap somehow, or somehow CC the Demon Hunter, obviously. Or what's really easy to do is just Ray it, or I mean Holy Word it. So Ray Hope someone, Holy Word them, do all the healing you want into it. That only works if they don't have an easy way to get off your ward though. So if it's a Demon Hunter or Moonkin, you know, it's pretty easy to just be safe to just Holy Word your DPS and guarantee the Ray healing. If it's a Demon Hunter Warlock, you can do the same, just Holy Word your DPS, guarantee the healing. But if it's a Demon Hunter Windwalker, or like a Demon Hunter with like an Arsham that's purging at the moment, you know? So they're getting pressure with purging, so you can't really afford to Holy Word because they'll just be purged off instantly, right? Or with a Windwalker, they can just in-cap it off instantly or fist stun it off instantly, something like that. Just be aware for situations like that. You should know when like a certain Demon Hunter is going to be in-capping your Ray. Most Demon Hunters wait till the end, so sometimes I'll wait till about the end of my Ray and then Holy Word right before the in-cap. So just look for opportunities for that. It's really important to protect your Ray Hope, and if you can't protect it, just don't do that much healing into it. Just Ray Hope at high HP, pause their HP, do like a little bit of healing. Doesn't matter if it goes down, just don't let them die during it. You know, just do a little bit of healing, and if they in-cap it while it's going blue, you don't care, because their health was already going down and they're paused at high HP, so you can easily handle it because you didn't use any of your healing, right? And if they do in-cap it, you didn't use any of your healing, or if it was even going positive, just from like you casting Flash Heal into it or your palms bouncing a Renew on it. If it was going positive and they didn't cup it, you don't care because you didn't Serenity into it, you didn't Light a True into it, you didn't use any of your big healing into it, right? So not that big a deal. Still, it's really powerful against you, and it kind of makes Ray of Hope like a non-cooldown if they're playing well. So just be really careful against Demon Hunter and Boomkin teams. So next we're going to go into macros. Are we going to macros? Artifact traits. Artifact traits. So a little bit has changed here. The beginning is the same though. So you get all your traits, right? You get your 36 trait and you get Light of the Conclave. You're going to do the new traits first. So Crest of the Naru. The bonus healing from Light of True is really, really strong. Then Times and Measures. I'll just mention it here before I forget. Desperate Prayer resets like a lot throughout the game, so don't be afraid to use it on cooldown just to keep yourself in Vim range, and like I said earlier. And when you're locked out, like say you're getting trained and you're locked out and your Desperate Prayer is on cooldown, if it resets while you're locked out, you can read Desperate Prayer. Like it during your lockout, you can read Desperate Prayer yourself. So that's really, really powerful. And something that I like to mention, just because it's fucked me like once or twice, I'm gonna just say it here. I have to do a little bit of damage to myself. So I'm low HP, right? I want to raid myself. Actually, I'll heal myself once. So I'm low HP. I'm not about execute range, but I'm like right near execute range. I Ray of Hope myself, so I'm not in execute range yet. But it'd be really easy for myself to get an execute range. If I Desperate Prayer, my percentage of my HP is actually going to go down, right? So say you're at 23%, just out of execute range. If you Desperate Prayer at 23% during Ray of Hope, you're going to dip down to about 19% HP. So you're going to dip down at execute range. So normally it's totally fine to just Desperate Prayer into your Ray of Hopes, right, just to get the extra healing. But since the healing is absorbed and your health percentage is still going up, you know, your health stays low HP, but your maximum health goes up. So it increases. It makes your percentage of HP go down. So a warrior on you can suddenly start spamming execute on you. So just be careful about that. Don't do what I've done. Okay. So next we're gonna go to the path. Besides that, so obviously you're gonna get your gold trait after that. So that's pretty easy. It's just a little bit of extra healing. It's not really that powerful, but it's nice. So this has changed a little bit, the path you take from here. So I would say Holy Hands first. Since they buffed Renew by so much, you can obviously get a lot of healing out of this. Holy Hands, then Say Your Prayers, because Palm Spec is so powerful right now. And then you can go Reverence, because overall your Flash Heal and your Heal are going to be doing more healing than your Holy Words, so Reverence over Words of Healing. But then you're going to go Words of Healing, and then Serenity Now, just the extra crit chance on Serenity. And then Trust in the Light over Hollow Ground. But if you're doing RBGs, it's probably the same path, except for I would do Hollow Ground over Trust in the Light. These other two don't really matter, so just save these two for last. But take that general path is going to be your best one. So a couple things to mention about the golden traits and the normal traits that you just have. So Invoke the Naru is your artifact ability in quotation marks. It's not a non-use, it's a passive. So every time you Holy Word, you have a chance to proc your little Guardian. I'll see if I can get it really quick. Please proc. There he is. So he just duplicates your healing. It's not an exact duplicate, but it's a little bit of extra healing. So you know, it duplicates your damage as well. So if you get a proc when you're Holy Rod chastising, and then you start spamming Smite into someone, it'll do a lot of damage with you. So you can easily do, you know, 1.5, maybe even 2 million damage into someone if you're spamming Smites within like a stun into a restun. So you actually have a lot of damage as Holy Priest when you get that proc. Next thing to mention is Oh, and that's why you want to be using like Holy Word Serenity as soon as possible in the game, and you want to be using Chastise as much as possible, just so you can get your healing out, or just so you can have the chance to proc it, because it's a really powerful proc. Or not a really powerful, but it's a nice proc, you know. So next, Blessing of True. Every time you crit, you have a chance to get extra healing. So it's just a nice proc. So don't rely on getting it or anything. But when you get it, just look for situations where you can get it, and then set up a Ray of Hope, because it'll guarantee top people with the 20% extra. I recommend having it having an add-on to tell you when it procs, just as a nice thing. So we'll get into what add-ons I have later, though. So next, Guardians of the Light. This is pretty simple. Your Guardian Spirit, when you target on someone else, it also goes on you. So that basically just means never guarding yourself directly, just guarding someone else, and it'll go on both of you guys. There's no point to not put it on someone else, unless they're out of line, in which case just put it on yourself if you need to. That's really nice. I already talked about Holy Mending, so that's your palm does more healing on people that have Renew on them, so that's really good. Talked about Renew the Faith. You have a tiny little slow right here, which like increases your movement as well. So that's actually kind of nice in situations where you Greater Fade and you can't be slowed. You can just Holy Fire someone, you know, while your Focused Will is active. So say someone's hitting you, their slow falls off, you Greater Fade, you Holy Fire them. They're slow, and you're moving that much faster with Greater Fade and Focus on the Light. So that's like a little thing that you can do. It's not required though. That's basically it for the artifact weapon though. So next we're gonna do macros really quick. There aren't that many, so it shouldn't be that hard. Focus, Chastise. This just focus. This Holy Word Chastise is your focus if you have one, and Holy Word Chastise is your target if you don't have a focus. And then the same thing for Smite, same thing for Holy Fire, same thing for Dispel, Magic, and same thing for MC. Then I have a Mouse over Holy Fire macro. This is just for like killing totems. So if someone puts down a cap totem on someone and I'm healing, I can just Holy Fire, Mouse over on it and kill it real quick. Same with like Earth Binds or Earth Grabs, something like that. Since they buffed your damage, Holy Fire is like really powerful for killing totems. And then more importantly, an at-player Holy Word macro is really important, so you don't have to target yourself. So you can target something else, or not even target yourself. Here, I don't know if I can find a mob really quick just to. I don't know. It's kind of obvious what it does, but it's just good to show people. So I'm targeting this guy, right, and I can just okay, well, I can't even use it out here. I'm retarded. Never mind. Okay, whatever. Okay, so you're targeting someone else, and you can just Holy Word yourself without having to retarget yourself in order to put it on. But that means you have to have a second bind to Holy Word other people. So that's not that big a deal for me. But if you're not comfortable with that or something, don't worry about it. But I would definitely recommend having an at-player Holy Word macro. Next up is add-ons. Okay. Okay, so the add-ons for Arena that I think are pretty required are big debuffs. So that's just on your frames, it's gonna show interrupts on your party members, and it's gonna show like what CC they're in. So it's really good for getting polished really quickly, getting fears really quickly, things like that. It just makes things more obvious. So it's really good. You can set what spells you want it on. You can set what the priority is. I'm sure there's guides out there for this add-on, so I won't go into much detail. It's just really helpful. Omnibar is the next big one. It shows all the interrupts and whatever CC you want to be avoiding and cooldowns from the enemy. So This is really important for Holy Priest because obviously a lot of your gameplay revolves around avoiding CC. So knowing what the cooldown is on people or on certain spells is really important for you. So same thing with interrupts. Like obviously it's really good to know when interrupts are coming back up, especially for Holy Priest. Like interrupts are so important for the healers to know. So next I have S-Arena. So I play with S-Arena and Gladius. So S-Arena is S-Arena is right here on my screen. So it's right next. I have my party frames right here and I have S-Arena right next to it, and I have cast bars right here. So I can easily be looking at my party frames right here, and then cast bars right here, and then enemy right here. So I can see what CC they're in really easily while looking at my party frames, and I can look at cast bars really easy while looking at my party frames. This also helps with like sometimes you won't notice cast if you're only looking at your focus target. So I have my focus normally right here, and I have the cast bar right here, but I also have, everybody else's cast right here. So if you're playing against like a Boomkin and a Mage, one of them is going to be casting Clone and one of them is going to be casting Poly. You can't have both on your focus. So, being able to see both casts at once are really nice for you. And then I have Gladius over here, which is like for, if you're not playing with Gladius, then Jesus. Next I have Tell Me One, which is here. Test one. So next I have Tell Me One, which is just really good for showing procs. So this one shows my Divinity proc. So there's guides for showing for setting these up as well. But this one shows my my Blessing of True proc. This is just easier to notice than looking up here for procs, or not noticing it at all. So, being able to just easily see, oh, I have Divinity off that. I have 6 seconds left on it. That's easy. Next I have this is just a nameplate add-on that I play with because I don't like the new ones. Quartz is just a cast bar one. I just have I just have focus, and then I have my cast bar down here. It's not that big a deal. I just prefer it that way. A pretty big one that I have is Mix scrolling battle text. If you're curious about this add-on, I can help set it up for you. Since there's not really that many helpful guides that I've seen out there for it. It basically it'll just show me when I dispel what I'm dispelling exactly, what I got off them. When I enter and leave combat is up here. Here, I'll see if I can show scroll areas, configure scroll areas. So these are all the so I can see when my cooldowns are coming up cooldown right here. It's just an extra visual for me. It's not required at all. This is just for this is outgoing, when I stun someone and it's immune or something, it's nice to just see a visual for that for me, so I just play with this. It's not required at all, just a nice add-on for me. If you're curious about it, you can message me and I'll help. And that's pretty much it. Recount, obviously, the rest of it doesn't really matter. I can't tell if the leaf blower in the background is fucking at my mic or not, but it's not. Next, we're gonna do. So now we're gonna get into healing. This is gonna be being trained in how to deal with interrupts as well. So we're gonna start with the start of the game. So every start of the game, you should be 10 to 5 seconds left in the starting room. You should just holy word yourself because it has a rolling cooldown. So you can exit the starting room having it already on cooldown and already applied to yourself. So it'll be off cooldown faster, and most likely it's gonna eat a CC or force them to purge it before it's over. So you get value out of it. But basically, as soon as the gates open, you're gonna palm your team. Then you're gonna renew everybody. Renew 1, 2, 3, and then as soon as you get settled, pretty much you're gonna start casting heal on someone or blast shield. Doesn't really matter, but you're just going to be building your mastery hot on people. So here, better explain when I have no buffs. So your mastery kind of works like this. So first heal, 143k. Second heal, 190k. Right. So you're building this hot as you're casting someone. So 220, 290, 400. You just want to be building this hot as much as possible before you get CC'd. So they have as much healing as possible. So you're going to be using Palm on cooldown before the game starts. So always use Palm on cooldown. Just build up the stacks. Even if you're playing Greater Heal spec, just build up the stacks. It's just nice to have. You know, you can build up healing before you really get in combat. As you come out of the gates, you want to get in combat as fast as possible against teams that can sap you or punish you for being out of combat. So, you know, if you're playing with an Unholy DK or like a Hunter or something, you can easily get in combat. Most of the time, just have their pets combat bug by sending them in, and you can just heal the DK, and you'll get in combat automatically. Something nice you can do against like rogue teams, since you're usually gonna have Holy Ward up like during the start, you can just spam Holy Nova, and since it takes 2 globals to sap you and then resap you, you can actually spam Holy Nova, and a lot of the time you'll get them out of stealth if they're not looking or paying attention. And if nothing else, you're just being annoying, which is kind of a lot of what you do as Holy Priest. From there, a couple like general just healing tips is look for like situations where you can use Light of Taru plus a Divinity proc, and then near the end of the Divinity, you're gonna use your Serenity during the on whoever you have Light of Taru on, so you can get a really big heal, and that'll make a really big hot on people. So see if I can replicate that over again really quick, just so we can see how big the hot can get. So this is about a normal hot, like a 300k hot on someone is pretty normal. So you Light of Taru someone, don't really have a Divinity proc, but I have a thing anyway, so then I'll heal once, and there's a 500k hot on someone, so that's really, really powerful. In matchups where it's really important to, you know, be doing as much HPS as possible, say against like walks or boomkins or something, you should be looking for situations where you can like really build up a really powerful hot like that. Next we're gonna. Alright, okay. So other than that, like it's really important as a Holy Priest that you're palming on cooldown when you're playing the palm spec, because you're kind of, I think of it as like a tempo healer. Like you can fall behind, but it's really like if you're keeping up with the healing, then you should be totally fine. So one way that I like to like sacrifice my tempo and then build it back up is by MCing. So really important when you're playing palm spec is you're gonna be MCing a lot. So it's really easy to bait interrupts passing MC. Like I swear you're going to be casting more MCs than you do flash heals a lot of games. So usually you're going to be MCing a DPS just so your team isn't taking as much damage. But if you're going for a kill, it's fine to MC a healer. So MC a DPS like on cooldown like as much as possible. Like whenever the DR is up, just cast MC, try to get an interrupt out of the way. A lot of the times this will like make DPS want to train you, which is really easy for a Holy Priest to handle, like behind a pillar. If it's just one DPS, it's really easy to just rotate, you know, Greater Fade and Light of Tarus and baiting kicks with baiting. You only have to bait one kick if you're behind a pillar, right? So baiting a kick with MC and then free casting heals on yourself is really easy for a Holy Priest. So casting MC a lot is really important. So get really comfortable with that and look for opportunities to obviously take advantage of maps, you know. So if we're on this map, obviously, you know, just look for MCs on people. Like if nothing else, it forces the enemy team to purge you out or to purge them out of the MC. So then they're losing mana, and since you're a Holy Priest, like you don't run out of mana, so that ends the game faster if you're MCing. So, already talked about Desperate Prayer, like using it on cooldown. I guess, so, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but Holy Word makes you immune to VT Dispel Fear. So normally when you dispel VT, you get feared for like 3 seconds. If you Holy Word it, you don't get this. You don't get feared at all. So it's really nice to Holy Word yourself and then stack up and then MD everybody, and you won't get feared at all. So there's no punishment there. Life Grip is a pretty important tool for a Holy Priest. It heals your target for 20% of their max HP, so it's really powerful when you're playing with things that have like high amounts of HP, so like a DK or a warrior or something like that. So look for opportunities like that. But a lot of Holy Priest comps, you're gonna fall behind at some point. Like, if you get interrupted too many times in a row, you're gonna have to play defensive for a little bit. You're gonna have to run behind a pillar. You're gonna have to like get topped back off. You're gonna have to wait for cooldowns, something like that. So you're gonna have to like be careful with when you use life grip. So life gripping someone back to a pillar when they have no mobility is really powerful. But also you should be looking for situations where you can life grip offensively. Like if you're playing against a warlock, and say the team is over there, like, you should be playing like on top of their gate almost. So when the warlock gates, say you're playing a TSG, like the DK doesn't have any mobility, right? So the DK can't reconnect with the warlock once he gates, right? So, but the warrior can. So you should be looking for when the warlock gates, the warrior charges obviously, and then the DK is stuck over there. But if you can life grip him over, then boom, he's reconnected and you're doing more damage. And what else? I think that's about it for like general healing. Obviously, you should be looking for opportunities to like just smite. Like something I do like pretty often is just kill totems with smite. Like it's really easy to just smite them, kill totems. You know, just get them out of the way and reset your stun at the same time. When you're dealing with like mage teams, this is something to talk about. When you're dealing with mage teams, it's really important that a lot of, if not all of your kicks should be going into polymorph, and you should be communicating with your team about stops. So you have a lot of stops as a Holy Priest. So Holy Ward, Greater Fade, you have a stun, you have like your partner's interrupts and stuff, Death Grip maybe, stuns, you know. Anything like that, you should just be communicating so you don't overlap Greater Fade with or Holy Ward with like a polymorph cast or a fear cast or something like that. So being loud, communicating with your team like when you need stops, what interrupts you need when, is really important as a Holy Priest, just because you have so many stops in your own. You should most of the time be using your partner's interrupts before you Greater Fade though, just because the interrupts are going to have a lower cooldown and Greater Fade has a 30-second cooldown, so Greater Fade after the interrupts are through and then worry about it from there. So that's pretty much it. So other than that, dispelling, I guess I'll mention real quick. So last patch, purging wasn't really an option for Holy Priest because you kind of, if you fell behind in healing, you would continue to fall behind in healing the entire game. But this patch, since you got so many buffs and you can play an instant spec now instead of casting so much, purging is like a lot more powerful when you're trying to rush down a team. Like say versus an Ardruid, like Ardruids are playing healing touch spec now. They're really weak right now anyway, but it's really powerful to purge versus Ardruids because it reduces their healing touch cast time when depending on how many rejuves they have. So just look for opportunities to stun someone and then just spam purge on them. You know, so I think that's it for healing in general. Mission combos. Playing really efficient as Holy Priest. You can heal from almost any amount of mana, just spamming heal. So just look for opportunities to do that. So next we're going to move into getting trained. So most of the time when you're getting trained, it's pretty simple. You want to wait until... best example is Turbo. So a Turbo going a Holy Priest is... I'd say like pretty common. I think most turbos have realized that Holy Priest can die if the Holy Priest plays or messes up or something. You need to make sure for when a team has cooldowns, you have Greater Fade ready. So don't be afraid to trinket Greater Fade when someone pops all their bursts on you. So say they stun you, or they get your Holy Word off with like Purge, and then they stun you full, and then they pop Doom Winds on you. So just trinket Greater Fade right away before you fall behind in healing, because it's really hard to catch back up as a Holy Priest when you're getting trained. So you need to stay ahead, and you need to be rotating cooldowns correctly. So you Greater Fade, and you say you Desperate Prayer as well. So Greater Fade plus Desperate Prayer plus Trinket. Desperate Prayer doesn't really matter when you use it. Just make sure that you're using it as much as possible, just so you get the opportunities to reset it. So you get trained, Desperate Prayer yourself, Greater Fade yourself, and try to run away if you're not slowed. If you can't run away, just try to deal with interrupts. So casting a flash shield while you're at max HP is fine. You get locked out, that's okay. Just cast an MC if you get locked out. Try to get locked out on both. If you do, then you have both interrupts out of the way, and you can just start free casting heals. They're probably going to get enough pressure to like force you to use another cooldown in like 10 to 15 seconds. So you can just use Ray of Hope again when Doom Winds has about 40 to 45 seconds left on its cooldown. So then Ray of Hope will match up with Doom Winds the next go. So in 10 to 15 seconds after the Doom Winds, if they get enough pressure on you, just Ray Hope yourself and top yourself off. And then in another 10 to 15 seconds, you'll have Greater Fade back up, and you want a Greater Fade on a cooldown when they're trading you, so you can have it back up for Doom Winds, right? So the 10 to 15 seconds after that, you're probably going to be like needing some peels from your DPS. So whatever that means. If you're playing with a Boomkin, he has to cyclone something. If you're playing with a DK, he has to slow the targets or grip them off potentially, something like that. So you're gonna need peels at some point as a Holy Priest. You won't be able to live with 2 melee DPS on you. So if that means knocking them off or getting peels from your teammates, you're gonna have a little gap where you don't have a cooldown, right? So you're gonna need help. If you're not dealing with interrupts correctly, baiting them with MCs, you're gonna need help. So don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to communicate with your team. Just make sure that you're always ready for when they're gonna burst, and only pre-Greater Fade when you know you're going to get something. If you waste Greater Fade and then they stun you afterwards and then do a ton of damage, you won't recover. So make sure that you're Greater Fading as if you know they're going to commit. So if that means you see a Mistweaver running in for a leg sweep, it's pretty safe to Greater Fade the leg sweep, right? Just immune the stun, get out of there before they set up on you. That's usually safe to do. Also, something that I didn't mention earlier is Divine Hymn. So your artifact trait obviously moves your palms, right? But if you're getting trained, your palms aren't going to be moving on other people. And if you're playing Rapid Mending and your palms are just falling off you and going on other people, you can just use a quick tick of Divine Hymn, increase your healing by 10%, and get your palms to bounce on yourself really quickly. So that's really powerful as well when you're getting trained. Other than that, you just have to really be on top of interrupts, and you'll pretty much be able to survive anything except for the certain comps which do really well against training. In which case, you'll need help from your teammates. So Warrior Demon Hunter is really good against you. Demon Hunter DK could probably kill you. TSG could probably kill you. Things like that are going to be able to are going to be able to punish your Ray Hopes if you're not looking for them, and they have enough interrupts and they have enough ways to get out of your MCs that they're going to be able to punish you for that as well. So next section that we're going to go into really quickly is how to beat Holy Priest. This is like a pretty common question. So this is like a pretty hard one. I feel like if you're not playing the right comp, or if you're playing a comp that Holy Priest counters, you're gonna have like a really, really hard time. But if you're playing a comp that does well against Holy Priest, so say like a Frost Mage team is pretty solid against Holy Priest teams. If the Holy Priest is playing a Cleave, then the Frost Mage is gonna like really scare the Cleave and be able to CC the Holy Priest a lot, just because you don't really have that many stops in the Mage. So what that means is the Holy Priest you're gonna have to like run away a lot of the times. So just to recover. Beating a Holy Priest is there's two like main ways that I would say. So it's either you're gonna be rushing them down. Okay, so say you're a Cleave, you need to rush down the Holy Priest because you're not gonna win the mana game in any situation. No comp in the game right now should rely on ooming the Holy Priest. That is not a strategy against Holy Priest, nor will it ever be until they nerf mana, or until they nerf Holy Priest mana regen. So what that means is you either need to win in dampening when Holy Priests get really, really weak, because there's no damage reduction from a Holy Priest. All you do is healing. So in late dampening, your healing kind of sucks. And that reduces your mastery because it's based on direct healing. So you're doing less and less healing as it goes on. So if you run, sounds really, really stupid, but if you run for 10 minutes straight against a Holy Priest, just trying to not die, and then you go offensive after 10 minutes, you have a really, really high chance of winning the game. Just because the Holy Priest doesn't do that much healing in late dampening. Or you can go for a rushdown strat where you're shoving every interrupt into the Holy Priest possible, but you can't be locking MC. If you're locking MC, when you're trying to rush down a Holy Priest team, you're just handing the game to them. So if they're casting MC, like to bait your interrupts, just let them cast it and just keep doing damage to them, because the only way a priest can do healing is if they're casting on the Holy School. MC doesn't heal. So you can just let your other DPS just go ham, and the Holy Priest isn't healing, but and you're not doing damage, but your other DPS is doing damage. So just look for situations where, just let them cast MC. It doesn't matter. So just save every interrupt for the Holy School and just try to land them. And if you land enough, you can probably win the game. Especially if you're playing with an Arsham. Like if you're playing an Arsham, like Arsham Windwalker DK, if you're pushing into the Holy Priest and you're interrupting on Shadow, or if you're interrupting on MC, or not MC, on Holy, like whenever possible, you have a high likelihood of winning that game. Other than that, like if you're not a Demon Hunter or a Boomkin, it's going to be kind of hard for you because you can't like CC the rays. If you're a Demon Hunter and you manage to in-cap a ray, you get a lot of pressure from that, especially if you see that they Serenity into it, or if they have Light of True on them. A really good tip for when you're going against a Holy Priest team is if you see them Ray of Hope, and they also have Light of True on themselves, I don't care how much damage you're gonna do into it, they're gonna top themselves. Like Ray Hope plus Light of True plus Serenity, there's no amount of damage that you can do that is going to out damage that healing. It's just not worth it. But if you see them Ray of Hoping without Light of True, that's your cue for do damage. So the icon for Light of True is this little blue thing right here. If you see Ray of Hope without Light of True, that's your cue for do as much damage as possible into them, and you'll probably be able to break through it. Or at least, not let them top themselves. If you see a Holy Priest casting during Ray of Hope, that probably most likely means that they're panicking, Like they had to Ray of Hope before the Serenity was off cooldown, so they're trying to cast to reset their Serenity during Ray of Hope. If that happens, Ray of Hope is not a guaranteed top. Like if you can interrupt them on Ray of Hope, you can win the game just right away. So look for opportunities where they have to cast on Ray of Hope, they don't have Light of True on them during Ray of Hope. Those are the Ray of Hopes that you want to, really try to punish. If they do have Light of True, or they get cast off during the Ray of Hope, just ignore it. Don't worry about it. Don't do damage afterwards. But that's basically like the biggest tip around Ray of Hope, besides CCing it. Well, other than that, you should be able to just look for opportunities to either purge off Holy Ward or use the smallest CC possible that you have. For some comps, that's hard, but if you're playing like say you're a Windwalker, you should just be incapping off the Holy Word whenever possible and setting up as soon as possible. Things like that. Just as long as you're not playing the mana game against Holy Priests, like, and you aren't interrupting MC, you should have a pretty good chance at winning. That's pretty much it though. To finish this up, we're gonna talk about comps real quick. So two different sections we'll go into is Cleaves and then caster comps. So Cleaves that are really viable for Holy Priest, I'd say is Turbo, obviously. So Turbo is really good for you. Your extra stun, your range stun is really strong for that. TSG is really powerful. With TSG, you can play Shining Force more. So you can DK stun the healer into Warrior Fear into Incap, and that's a really strong CC sharing for a melee cleave. So look for opportunities like that. Ret Hunter is pretty good for you. You have really good synergy with Ret because Ret increases your healing. So it's really hard to lose the game when you're doing that much extra healing from a Ret. So you get a lot of value out of having a Ret on your team. Windwalker DK is pretty good for you. Like both those classes are pretty tanky. Like Windwalker can always run away, port away. You know, DK can take a lot of punishment and just tank through it. For casters, you're mostly going to be looking for like Boomies, Mages, and S-Priest / Warlocks. So any combination of those is really going to work for you. So Boomy Mage, Warlock Mage, God Comp, any Fire Mage comp, S-Priest Boomy, if I didn't mention that already. Ellie Boomy is fine, even though I think Ellies are kind of in a weak spot right now. Ellie Boomy's good. You can play almost any comp as a Holy Priest right now. Like you're pretty versatile in what you can heal. Like just random comps like Enhanced Windwalker or Feral Fire Mage. Like you can heal those like really well. I think that's about it for comps. I think that's it for the guide. I don't know if I missed anything. I'll try to do a once over really quick.